Israel is stepping up its offensive in northern Gaza. Health officials say at least 60 Palestinians have been killed in the latest attacks. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been criticized by allies over the worsening humanitarian crisis. But he says he has a three-part plan. The first phase is approving basic food deliveries. The second would see US companies distribute food. In the third phase, a so-called sterile zone free of Hamas would be created where Palestinians should move and receive aid. Israel has built security corridors, marked here in solid blue, and so-called buffer zones, those are the red parts of the map, that divide Gaza into several sections. No-go areas are marked with red stripes. Netanyahu has also said that Palestinians who go to the planned sterile zone in the south, quote, don't necessarily go back. Now let's dig a bit deeper there and bring in Mairav Zonszein. She's a senior analyst on Israel-Palestine at the International Crisis Group, a think tank, and she joins us from Tel Aviv. Now, Mairav, what is the strategic purpose behind these so-called sterile zones in Gaza?
Well, the stated claim by Netanyahu and his government is that he wants to cut Hamas away from the population and cut Hamas out of the supply of aid and basically dismantle Hamas's ability to govern the Strip. Israel claims that Hamas stays in power and keeps money by using the aid and selling it, but there is very little evidence of that, and humanitarian aid organizations have actually said that they have a very meticulous way of checking and that there has been very little taking of aid by Hamas. So this claim has to be taken with some doubt. But the basic strategy is that Israel wants to still defeat Hamas. We don't know exactly at what point Israel will say that it has defeated Hamas, but it has now been clearly using aid and food and starvation as a weapon in this war on Hamas.
So you're saying that this is not so much about distribution of aid, more and the creation of a temporary military buffer zone. Is it more of a long-term vision then for the territory?
Well, if you listen to some parts of the Netanyahu coalition, the far right in his government, they openly want to take over all of Gaza, empty it of its Palestinians, and rebuild settlements. But even Netanyahu himself said in a statement the other night that the demands for him to end the war would include not only the release of the hostages and Hamas disarming, but also what he called the implementation of the Trump plan, which, as we know, Trump said in February that Gazans should be relocated, Palestinians should leave Gaza. This is a euphemism for forcible transfer, ethnic cleansing, depending on the term you'd like to use. So, Israel is kind of being quite open about the fact that it wants to empty Gaza of its Palestinians, and I think it's pretty clear that it's also made Gaza completely unlivable for most people who are surviving there. So whether or not this is going to be a long-term occupation, something that I think many military officials in Israel do not want to happen, and I think most Israelis would agree is not in Israel's interest. This is the trajectory that we are on, regardless of what Netanyahu is or isn't saying.
Now, as we heard, Netanyahu indicated that for people who go into these zones, for them, a return is not certain. What does he mean by that?
I mean, he means that he'd like to cleanse Gaza of its Palestinians. It's almost something that he did. It's not even a facade anymore. I mean, this is what he's saying. I mean, if you look at the images of Gaza, I mean, they don't have where to go back to. They don't have running water, or in some places they don't have running water or clean water. Israel has managed to really destroy Gaza. It hasn't exactly managed to destroy Hamas or release the hostages, which are the war objectives. If you kick people out and destroy the infrastructure, they have nothing to come back to. They live in tents. And again, I don't see how this is in Israel's security interest. So it's not achieving its war goals. There's a lot of genocidal language coming out of Israeli government officials from the very beginning of the war. And now with the entry of the Trump administration, as much as he's put the hostage deal at front and center, he continues to arm Israel and enable Israel to continue with what we see as a destruction and, mass starvation and possibly also mass displacement.
So do you think that the creation of these sterile zones is rather a step towards a solution, or will it cause even more problems for everyone involved?
It is a man-made humanitarian catastrophe. It is not making anyone safer. It is not getting us any closer to a solution. And what's very frustrating is that many European countries, even Arab countries, they all agree that Hamas must be removed from power. Hamas is willing to negotiate many aspects of the governance of the Strip. Obviously, it's still holding hostages. Obviously, it's a violent terror group. But without negotiation, there will be no solution. There is no military solution to this problem. Using starvation, using displacement, these things are making 2 million people's lives miserable. I don't see how it's going to reach any solution. And this notion of sterile zones or creating a new aid mechanism by private American companies, no, I don't think anyone thinks this is going to work. This seems to be some kind of weird ploy by Israel to avoid being incriminated for war crimes. And it's all very, very disconcerting and messy.
Mairav Zonszein there from the International Crisis Group think tank. Thank you very much.
Thank you.